welcome. This is Jay Fidell to welcome to Hawaii, the state of clean energy on Energy Wednesday, sponsored by Hawaiian Electric, Hawaii Energy, and DBED, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. I practice saying that.
You got it just about down now, don't you?
And our principal guest today is Duane Shimogawa, who is a star reporter for Pacific Business News, one of our favorite online and print remaining online and print newspapers in the state. And of course today we have Peter Rosegg, with a spokesman for Hawaiian Electric Company, here in the studio with us. We are very excited. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having us. Yep.
You can say that now, but see what happens.
Well, that's as nice as we'll get.
So Peter, you know, there was a press release this morning, and I'm so happy that you're here to talk about it. This was entitled, Hawaiian Electric Seeks More Low-Cost Renewable Energy for Customers on Oahu. It has to do with waivers. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. Earlier this year, we kind of realized that there were some potential projects here on Oahu that were substantially ready to go. We are still waiting for the Public Utilities Commission to give us permission to do what's called a request for proposals for renewable energy here on Oahu, but there are projects that are ready to go, and they could be built much more quickly. So, and the exciting thing is that they're all much less expensive, certainly less expensive than what we're paying for oil-fired generation right now, and even less expensive than some of the renewables we already have available to us. So we went out to try to identify those. We did a request for submissions, and we got 25 different projects that said, yeah, we're ready. Well, they weren't all ready, but we selected 5 of them, and in June we went to the Public Utilities Commission and said we'd like permission, which is required. We'd like permission to negotiate with these outside of what's called the competitive bidding framework. Mm-hmm. And the competitive bidding framework basically says anything over 5 megawatts of power that the utility buys has to be done in a competitive bidding process, which, you know, has its good points. I mean, it means that they want to be sure that we get the lowest price possible. They want to make sure that we're not, you know, just dealing with our friends and not talking to all parties. But in this case, it was really obvious that we had some very attractive proposals. So we went in with 5 at that time, and we also said to the other 20 or so, you know, take another look at your proposal, because if you can make some adjustments and meet the price, we'll add you to the list. So we went through that process, and in the process of doing that, we got 6 more projects. In the meantime, 2 of that original 5 projects have pulled back. They said,
why?
They don't have to tell us why, but there's a very tight time schedule. There's some very strict requirements since we're not doing a traditional competitive bidding, and there will be another opportunity for them. We hope sooner rather than later. But they looked at the situation and realized that they might not be able to make it. One was a wind project, as Duane said, and you know, wind. The others are all PV, big solar projects, and typically a wind project takes longer. You've got to build the big towers, you've got to bring in a lot of really big equipment and so forth. So I don't know why they pulled out, but I suspect that they just looked at the schedule and said, that's a little too ambitious for us now, we'll wait till later. So we were left with the 3 from the original and the 6. So we have 9 projects all over Oahu. They're all PV, big PV, and they total about 250 megawatts, which is
That's a lot of bread.
really substantial, right? It's bigger than, you know, any other generating unit if you put it all together. And they all are offering to come in at a price that is very attractive, under 16 cents a kilowatt hour, and that's the price that customers pay. We don't mark it up, we don't take any profit on that kind of purchase agreement. So we've gone back to the commission and said, you know, we're still waiting to hear on the 3 that are left, but we want to add these 6 and we want to negotiate. And we also said, you know, to kind of move things along, we're going to go ahead and start negotiating. It's called a parallel track. We're going to begin negotiating with these 9 companies, and because we'd really like to see those things in place by the end of 2015, because it's no secret, everybody's hurting with high electric bills. We can't control the price of oil, but we can find these renewable energy projects that are going to be cheaper and are going to be right here, and they're going to be very attractive. So it's kind of a win-win, I think, for everybody if we can get, and maybe all of them will not be built. You always start these projects with the best of hope and intention, and you can run into problems of one kind or another. But if we get a substantial part of that 250 megawatts at very low prices, that will make life a little better for everybody that buys power from the company.
How do you integrate the 250 renewable megawatts into the grid?
Well, these are all large, what we call utility scale or large projects. And so they would be attached to what's called the transmission system, which is the big wires, 138 kV and 46 kV. That's the kind of big level where power comes into the grid and moves around the island. And this question came up, so I'd like to address it. We're also, we're in discussions with the solar industry, and we've had to say, because there's so much rooftop solar on some areas, we need to slow that down a little bit. We need to check. So people say, well, how come you don't want me to put PV on my roof, but you can go ahead and do a big project like that, or our project that we hope to do at Kahe? And the reason is technical but fairly simple. These big projects come in at the 46 kV or the 138 kV level, and in every case there will be an interconnection study to determine what you need to hook it up. It's like deciding, do I need a power strip in my home that's got 3 outlets or 5 outlets, or what do I need to do in my home to add more equipment? So, and we will be able to see, so to speak, all these projects because we have communications with them. The rooftop solar comes in at a much lower level, what we call the distribution level. Traditionally, an individual home is connected to the local circuit with a 12 kV line, which is kind of a little bitty line. And it's not designed originally to carry electricity both ways. So when you start to add electricity generation on this little 12 kV system, you reach a point where you got to slow down and say, how's this, what do we need to do to increase the amount of PV on this system? And that's a frustration, we know, but it's a matter of safety and reliability, and we're going to try to get the approvals and get what's needed as soon as possible. But it is kind of apples and oranges, and it's PV in both cases, but one is big utility scale that connects to the big lines, and one is small rooftop that connects to these for us, are very small lines. And so they're different, but they're similar in one way. Every one of them will have to do an interconnection requirements study, which is paid for by the vendor, not by the utility, not by customers. And if we just find that we have to do some things, they'll share in the cost of making those upgrades. And a good example would be the Kahuku Wind project. It's going to be back online pretty soon. But when that was first being built, they had to do an interconnection requirement study. It was determined that to get that electricity into the system, we had to build a substation there close by, and we shared the cost with them because in some ways that substation helped the grid itself and served all customers, and in some ways it helped just First Wind getting their power into the system, so we shared the cost. But in that respect, the rooftop PV and the big utility scale PV is just the same. When you're going to bring power like that into the grid, you have to look and see what it will take to make sure that you have the capability of doing it. But the good thing for everybody about this 250 megawatts is the price is going to be very low. So when you average that into the other prices that we pay, it's going to bring everybody's bill down. It's not going to be, it's not going to cut everything in half if we wish, but it's going to make a substantial contribution because we'll tend to use that power first, and then we'll use our own generation power later. So all in all, it's a good deal for these vendors who've been waiting, for a business that's wants to develop a wind farm. Time is money, and while they wait for things to happen, it's costing them money in some form. So we can get those projects done sooner. It'll help those developers. It'll help our customers with lower prices, and of course, it will help meet the clean energy mandate for Hawaii. And the problem we have in a way. There's a lot of good renewable energy on the neighbor islands. There's geothermal on the Big Island. There's wind. There's hydro even on Hawaii Island. Here on
Don't
Oahu,
forget Kauai. It has,
yeah, Kauai now is just broken ground on the biggest, what will be the biggest PV system in the state until we finish ours. But for the moment, I feel they can enjoy their glory for a minute here.
Their moment in the sun.
Exactly right. Oh,
very good, very
that sounds
good.
like a headline. So, and of course, now I completely lost track. The neighbor islands have a lot more solar potential than Oahu. But here's on Oahu, we have the people and we have the demand, and we use a lot of electricity here. And a lot of times, as you know, the neighbor islands say, how come Oahu isn't doing their fair share? So by adding these PV systems, by adding more wind, as we hope to do, by adding other kinds of projects, we're hoping to get Oahu to play as big a role as it possibly can. So nobody can say, oh, you guys are freeloading on other parts of the state.
250 megawatts really makes a statement
It's
about
substantial.
that.
It's substantial. And when you think about it, we have a lot more wind than we had a couple of years ago, and we think there's some more coming. So Oahu is stepping up, which is an absolute necessity, and we're glad that's happening.
Peter, can we hold on to you for a minute because we're going to take a break now? But I have questions, and maybe Wayne has questions
I do.
too. We'd like to explore with you right after this break. This is ThinkTech. We're doing Energy Wednesday, Hawaii, the state of clean energy. Our principal guest is Duane Shimogawa of Pacific Business News, and we have a report from Peter Rosegg of Hawaiian Electric on waivers and other matters relating to the integration of solar and
Renewable
energy into our grid in the system. We'll be right back after this break. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidell, founder of ThinkTech Hawaii. We are a digital media nonprofit that covers things that matter to tech, energy, diversification, globalism, and progress for our state, the state of Hawaii. We broadcast on community television and on Oceanic Cable Channel 16. We also stream our shows and interviews live on the internet as both radio and video, and of course we post them here on YouTube. We collaborate with the Hawaii Venture Capital Association to present monthly luncheon programs on subjects of interest to the business community, and we write for the Honolulu Star-Advertiser. ThinkTech works hard to raise public awareness in Hawaii. Check out our website, thinktechhawaii.com, and come to our YouTube channel, ThinkTech Hawaii. We hope you support our mission and that you like our work. I'm Jay Fidell. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Duke Oishi for ThinkTech News. ThinkTech broadcasts 15 new talk shows every week from its studio in Pioneer Plaza and plays them around the clock. Last week we had several notable shows, including a Healthcare in Hawaii show with host Senator Josh Green and Keawe Aimoku Kaholokula of the John A. Burns School of Medicine on Native Hawaiian Medicine. The Arts in Hawaii show with host Donna Blanchard and Neil Milner, political commentator, on his new book, The Gift of Underpants, and a State of Clean Energy show with host Jay Fidell and Liam O'Neill of Hydro Tasmania on clean energy down under. This week we've scheduled some great shows for you, including an Arts in Hawaii show with host Donna Blanchard and Ikaika Hussey of the Hawaii Independent News website and magazine on ongoing news in the 21st century, an Asian Review show with host Jay Fidell and attorney Russell Liu, who practices in Beijing, on Where Have the Chinese Gone? A ThinkTech talk show with host Jeff Gear of Talk Story, with storyteller Ann Glover on More Talk Story in Hawaii. You can watch our shows live on Ustream.tv and Spreaker.com and on demand on YouTube.com. The links are on our site at thinktechhawaii.com. You can download the mobile version of our site from thinktechhawaii.com and see our shows on your smartphone or other mobile device. And that's the news for today. This is Duke Oishi for ThinkTech Hawaii. Mahalo.
We're full of useless segues here on ThinkTech Hawaii. You might be part of it. Maybe you'll catch something. Right. ThinkTech Hawaii is a non-communicable communication source. Don't get too close to your screen. You might be infected. ThinkTech.
it's set, so be warned.
You're on.
Okay, we're back. We're live. This is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, on Energy Wednesday here at ThinkTech. We have Duane Shimogawa, Pacific Business News, and Peter Rosegg from Hawaiian Electric. And Peter was giving us a report on waivers and renewable energy, and we had some questions.
All right.
Okay, let me ask some, and then Wayne can ask some, okay?
Right.
In fact, Wayne, why don't you go first?
Sure. Peter, one of the things, I wanted to ask was what happens to the other developers who were not chosen? I mean,
Sure.
you made a second round. Now, is there going to be a third round, fourth round?
I don't know if there's going to be a third or fourth round, but all of these remain eligible for future RFPs, for future requests for proposals. There will be more, times that we go out and ask for renewable energy. This particular first and second round is very strict time frames. There's very strict terms that they have to be able to meet, and for whatever reason, about 10 of them didn't make that cut, and these two pulled out that I mentioned. So they're all in the works. They're all possibilities for the future. But for this original request for waivers and this direct negotiation process, we tried to pick the projects that have the absolute best chance of being successful, that have all the things they need, and because we want this to work. We want it to work to the best extent possible, and these others, could work as well, but later on under different circumstances.
Why can't we do all the projects this way?
Well, as I said, the Public Utilities Commission established this competitive bidding framework, and when you start getting into much bigger projects, a 200 megawatt generator or things like that, it's probably better to do it in a competitive bidding framework. And not to say the competitive bidding framework couldn't be approved, but there's some things that you want to be very open about. You want to have it very transparent, as we say, and you don't want it to be just insider kind of business. So this is a very open process. We have our own competitive bidding process, but it's not handled, in quite the way that a full-on.
The problem with a full-on is that it takes time.
Exactly.
Which leads me to my next question. I mean, I'm in favor of moving everything ahead quickly.
I know that.
You've heard me say
I know
that. But I'll go on record about that too.
Okay.
We have your waiver already.
I'm recording this whole thing, by the way.
I have a feeling
So are we.
we have permission from you already to move ahead, but yeah, what's
So
the question?
when are we going to be finished with this parallel tracks thing? I mean, it sounds like we need to get on with it, and it's taking more time than you would have anticipated.
All these things take time, and the Public Utilities Commission has a responsibility to do their due diligence, but we want to move them on as quickly as possible, which is why we're going to start negotiating while the Commission is considering, and then when we get to the point that they decide, we hope they decide the way we want, and the negotiations will be then ready to go forward. We want to get these projects up and running by the end of 2015, which is a very aggressive time schedule. So that's why we want to start talking now, making sure, figuring out what we can do now, in the very strong hope that the Commission will come in and do the right thing and give us the permission to do it. But we can't wait. Prices are too high. They're taking too big a toll on individual, families, on small businesses, on big businesses for that matter, and it just doesn't seem right to leave a potential low-cost project sitting on the shelf, waiting when we can make a deal and move it forward and get it into the system. And so we're determined to do what we can do to help our customers to lower their bills. We have a long-term commitment to do that, but a short-term commitment as well. Nobody hates these high bills as much as we do. We don't make money off of these high bills because we pay, it's more than half going to pay for oil. And we don't make any profit on that. We don't make any markup, and it just makes our life miserable, frankly. So we want to get away from it.
And every day that goes by is also the risk that oil could spike, and it would get worse if that happens.
There are all kinds of risks, and the oil is a very volatile substance in a very volatile market. The Middle East, nobody knows what happens there day to day. Not too long ago, Iran was threatening to blockade the Straits of Hormuz, and that would, even if they didn't do it, even if they weren't successful at it, oil prices would go up just because it was happening. So oil is the most volatile energy fuel in the world today. It's the most plentiful, but it's also very volatile. So the more we can get off of it, the better off we are. There are other alternatives that we can go for.
Thank you, Peter. Peter Rosegg, Hawaiian Electric.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming down. Always, we appreciate
Always
it.
good to see you.
Thanks, Peter.
See you. All right.
Good to see you.
Aloha.
Okay, all right.
Aloha. We're going to switch now to Chelsea Harder, who is here from Hawaii Energy in the Negawatt moment, and she's going to speak about energy education. Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, how are you, Ray? Or Jay, sorry.
Jay, Ray.
Thank you.
Dwayne.
We've heard this before.
All right, so I'm going to talk
Can you
about
help?
I'm going to talk about a program to educate teachers about energy efficiency.
We're just unleashing Peter.
I'm sorry.
Thank you,
Shall
Peter.
I
Be careful,
continue?
Peter. And we're actually going to ask Sharon Moriwaki, who is my co-host, to come in and come to the table and join us at the table. It's okay, Sharon. Chelsea will be with you in a moment. It's okay. Thank you, Peter. This is, you can see, this is a show with flexibility.
It's do it as you go on.
That's exactly right. Chelsea, what's holding you up?
Just kidding. All right, thank you, Jay. I'm here to talk about a program to educate teachers about energy efficiency and conservation. So Hawaii Energy has partnered with the NEED project, which is a nonprofit to educate educators. So NEED stands for National Energy Education Development. And our goal is to encourage students to implement energy savings at home. So the teacher will be trained, they will teach the students, and the students will bring it into their homes so they can provide energy savings for their families. So in these trainings, the teachers will learn types of energy and how energy is produced and used. And in turn, they will have hands-on learning activities, demonstrations, and games, and they will get training on how to use those materials with their students in the classroom. So some of the key benefits is this is free for teachers K through 12 for all subjects, and they are provided with energy materials and curriculum. And
How do you know that they're actually going to teach it when they go back to school? You know, I mean, I'd be concerned if you went to this trouble and then they didn't do that.
They're actually quite excited about it in the trainings. So they're excited that they get this material. It's aligned with the DOE standards. They get professional development credits for this and substitute reimbursement. They're also eligible for a $2,500 grant.
She said $2,500.
Wow.
Is that-
Yeah,
is
that's
it-
a
but
lot.
not every one of them gets it, though. They're
I'd be
eligible.
excited too.
They're eligible, yes, they
You wanna-
apply, but we're very excited to
Yeah.
provide that for them.
So how
we
many
provi-
schools are involved, or is it just starting? You have
It's
schools
actually
up-
for all schools in Honolulu, Maui, and Hawaii counties.
Wow.
Great project.
Right.
Really important.
So there's actually 2 coming up on Oahu next week, and the following week there's going to be 2 on the Big Island.
So teachers already signed up, or are you?
Yes, they have already signed up.
Oh,
So,
great.
and space is running out, so I encourage teachers to go online to hawaiienergy.com and go to the education and outreach page, and they will be able to sign up for it.
See if you can find a teacher who come down and tell us about his experience.
Yeah, that
Oh,
would
I
be
am
good.
actually a former teacher, and I have used these materials, and they're
Okay.
excellent.
okay. That's Chelsea Harder from Hawaii Energy. Thank you so much for coming down, Chelsea. That's the Negawatt moment. And we're going to have a break in a minute, but before we do that, I just want to truly introduce Duane. Hi, Duane.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Thanks for coming down. It's an honor to have you here. You're a major journalist, a star reporter in our state. You know, you give nutrition news. You give what is
Wow.
necessary in a free society for the people to understand and to exercise their
The
franchise.
best $100 I've spent. Have to admit. Thanks, Jay.
Well, I think it's great that you're here, and we want to talk about energy. So tell us about your beat. Tell us about the amount of energy that you do, and why you do it, and how you do it.
Well, energy is one of my 2 main beats. I have real estate as well, but energy, I cover pretty much everything from solar, from wind, from even from wave energy, biomass, you name it. Obviously right now there are more, active areas such as solar, hydro on Kauai has been pretty active as well. Wind, obviously on Maui, and here on Oahu as well. So it's been a pretty active beat. Lots to cover. It's very interesting, very relevant. As the state goes through the transformation towards renewable energy, I'm glad to be a part of that transformation, covering it and talking to the stakeholders and. Very interesting and enlightening people like you, Jay, and Sharon.
That's the thing about being a reporter.
Yeah.
You get to meet people, and most of them will talk to you.
Yeah. For whatever reason.
Do you go around all the neighbor islands as well as here?
Well,
how do you pick the stories and where you go?
Right. So as far as we do cover, we're statewide newspaper, and so we sometimes we'll go. To the other islands, travel over there. Most of the time it's through telephone, through Skype. We use, you got to use what's available technology today, which we're lucky because back then you would actually have to go to the island to cover and report on a story. But it's mostly through phone and through the internet as well. But obviously, most of the population. A lot of the stakeholders are here on Oahu, so I'm from Kauai originally. So I come from
All the best people. I want to be clear about that. My wife is from Kauai. She's probably listening.
And so, as much as it pains me that Oahu gets a lot of the coverage, it's just a reality. Obviously, a lot of from the state and the counties. It's all all the decision makers are here as well. So. But there's a lot happening though on the neighbor islands. They're further ahead than Oahu. You look at the Big Island. They're producing. Over half their energy from like geothermal and wind. On Kauai. They're going gangbusters on solar. Today they just broke ground on the state's biggest solar farm, out in the south side of Kauai. And then, you even look at Maui, and Maui is doing a tremendous job too. And then you talk about, how good Maui is. Then you throw in the inter-island cable that everyone is talking about now from, Oahu to Maui. There's endless possibilities. All the islands have their areas of expertise, and so it's exciting to see this all unfold.
Yeah. You become part of the community of energy, and you get to see it unfolding. It's exciting. I'd like to drill down on some of the things you mentioned, but before we do that, I think I got to take a break.
Got to pay the bills.
Nothing personal.
You hear the music.
So here we are on AM 760 KGU. This is Hawaii, the state of clean energy, on Energy Wednesday. We're here with Duane Shimogawa. We're talking about, what are we talking about? Energy. From the viewpoint of Pacific Business News anyway, okay? And Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host, who always has a wonderful time, makes everybody else have a wonderful time. We'll be right back. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidell. This is ThinkTech Hawaii, broadcasting live from the Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. We raise public awareness about tech, energy, and globalism in Hawaii. Technology is critical to our state. A vibrant tech sector will give us new prospects in the global marketplace and will offer great careers and make our economy more resilient. Streaming live on Ustream and Spreaker, ThinkTech allows its hosts and guests invaluable opportunities to report important events and discuss important questions, and to be heard here in Hawaii and around the world. You can find links to our live streams on thinktechhawaii.com or on our mobile website, m.thinktechhawaii.com. And you can see our archive on YouTube. It's all just a click away. We want to do whatever we can to keep Hawaii relevant, connected, and thriving in the complexity of the 21st century. We hope you will help us in those efforts. Tune in today. This is ThinkTech. I'm Jay Fidell. Mahalo.
I'm Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We do monthly luncheon programs with ThinkTech about things that matter to Hawaii entrepreneurs, investors, and business service providers. So join us on the fourth Thursday of every month at the Plaza Club. For information about upcoming events or to join our mailing list, visit hvca.org. See you there.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Good evening. We're delighted that you've come to us today. We are here for ThinkTech Hawaii. Important issues, important people, people who...
Jack Waters, thank you, Leah Rodriguez. This is ThinkTech, Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, on Energy Wednesday. And we are talking with Duane Shimogawa, Pacific Business News, about energy from the vantage of Pacific Business News, which is really wonderful. It's refreshing, actually. So some of the things you talked about to drill down on, the cable. Okay, I think the cable it's more than just a cable. It's a statement of the unification of the islands. You know, Kamehameha in what was it, 1815, didn't finish the job. If he'd really thought about it, he would have laid the cable then. And he would have included Molokai and Lanai, because then we wouldn't be having this argument now.
That would have been tremendous. I mean, to lay the groundwork like that. But obviously that didn't happen.
So what are you hearing out there in the community, Duane?
Well, I mean, you know, part of, you know, obviously what I do is going out and interviewing, you know, people in the energy community and talking to them about challenges and, you know, what's happening, you know, why this doesn't work, why this works. You know, their complaints, obviously, for some reason, there's a lot of them out there right now. Mostly dealing with the fact that, you know, we're moving too slow. But again, this is Hawaii, as we have, you know, spoke about during the break.
Yeah.
But
so on the cable, you sound as if you believe from all your sources and thought process and your writings on it that it's going to happen. You feel that?
You know, if I had to make, you know, an educated guess, I would say it looks like we finally, you know, have found the right recipe for success in that area. Number one, you take away the pushback from the community from the proposed wind farms on Lanai and Molokai, and then you look at Oahu and Maui, which the new cable plan is in place that the PUC is currently looking at. The pushback isn't really there. I mean, you'll always have people against it, but you have you know, the development community, you have the state, you have you know, all the energy stakeholders pretty much on board with this. You have obviously the, you know, the utility on board as well. So this looks like, you know, we've finally stemmed the tide and we're finally getting over that hump
So
to making it happen. Yeah. So I think this, you know, with the PUC, you know, taking a really hard look at it, that's nice. But I think it's almost a formality. It's going to happen. We need to start planning already. We can't just plan when the PUC makes a decision. That's, you know, going to cost us some money and you know, and then more precious time wasted. So I think we finally arrived. It's just a matter of working out the kinks. I know Maui has some issues with you know, their side of the grid, claiming that, you know, it's old and antiquated, and you know, they need to modernize it, of course, and they're asking their, you know, MECO to help them with that issue. And you know, speaking with them, you know, they like, you know, so far, you know, what they've been hearing throughout the whole process of, you know, with the PUC looking at, you know, the cable project.
Yeah, I worry that some new technology will come along and it'll have a solar panel shrink down to about 3 inches and have the same output. You know? And by saying, oh, we can do everything we need with this new technology, and we don't have to share among the islands. See, I really feel that sharing is important.
Well, Jay, they have, I believe it's an Australian company where there's a solar-powered tint that you put on all the office buildings downtown. Obviously, the technology is still very new, but you even have solar-powered shingles where they're made real small, and they have more capacity. So they're out there, but it's just a matter of making it more cost-effective and tweaking it. And with anything new, people are afraid, right? So it takes a while to really get comfortable with it.
Well, at the end of that consideration, I come out with the ideas. You're gonna buy the computer it's on the sales floor right now, or you say there's something else gonna happen.
Right.
That's better. I better wait. And I think the prudent thing is at a certain point you buy the computer already.
Right.
You don't keep waiting in anticipation of something new. So this is the time to buy a cable. I think we just got to get through the shall I say bureaucracy? May I say that?
And Jay, you also have a lot of you also have a lot of these cable developers that are slowly making headway here, opening offices. I know Next Energy is one of them, Next Era Energy, and then you have a couple other developers that are looking to develop this. It's being estimated somewhere in the $1 billion range or so. But it's starting to get serious out there with this cable project. Whether or not people realize that, I mean, they're going to very soon because the PUC is expecting to make some decisions about it, maybe sometime early next year or towards the middle of next year.
To tell you the truth, if they decided either way, I'd be happy as long as they decide soon. Because if they decide yes, we'll do it soon. If they decide no, we'll do something else soon, but we'll move the ball down the field. So can we go to LNG now? This is a more complicated question.
Sure.
You've written, you've thought, you've taken data about LNG. What do you think about it?
Most I've interviewed, talked to, what I've kind of gathered and researched, it looks like a good, alternative for now, temporary. But again, you have to think about where we were with oil back then. It is a fossil fuel. So do we really want to go there again? But at the same time, we have to look at some temporary fixes and look at what Hawaiian Electric is doing with the solar farms through the getting the waiver from the competitive bidding process. But we have to look at this. I know the utility is on board with it. Hawaii Gas is already started the process to ship this in as a backup fuel source, but they have plans to eventually ship it in and even one day possibly supply the utilities here as well. I think it's great. I think we should ship it in. I don't think.
Are you worried that that somebody is going? I wondered what that sound was. There's somebody
It's just
taking
the
pictures of us. Paparazzi.
The PBN paparazzi.
I thought our sound system was failing.
Well, Jay, I figured this is the first and only time you'll invite me, so I better get it documented.
Let the record reflect we have another guest in the room with a camera, and that's the sound you hear. It's a good camera, right?
Oh, it has
It's a
to
serious
be. It has to be. Produces those nice photos.
But don't you worry that people will get married to LNG? Some people do worry about this. I think Blue Planet worries about this.
Yeah.
And the Sierra Club worries about this. That we'll get married to LNG. We won't be able to extract ourselves out of it, and that we do not have the discipline to go out the same door we came in. What about that?
I think it comes down to the contract. We have to make sure that it's said that we can get out of this eventually as we move closer and closer towards renewables. And then we have, I think, the ace in the hole, which is Hawaii Gas. I mean, that's part of their business model.
Yes.
They're They're already, you know, they have the infrastructure for the smaller shipments. So, you know, so if they're going to be shipping it in, you know, we can test it out, see how it works. So, you know, see if maybe, you know, does it work with as far as the price when compared to, you know, other alternatives. But yeah, I mean, there's you know that whole notion that, hey, we're basically doing what we've been doing in the past, and so this is the status quo, and that's the argument with Jeff Mikulina of Blue Planet and Robert Harris of the Sierra Club. I certainly see their points, and they're good ones. But again, you know, we are a state that is suffering from these ridiculously high energy prices, and you know, we need some relief.
It goes right. It goes to a social issue.
Yeah.
And the social issue is we don't have enough disposable income. Our people can't pay all these bills. It's you know, it's worse because it's too expensive, and because people don't have the money for it. So it creates a crunch at every family, including mine.
And mine.
And mine.
Anyway, that's Duane Shimogawa, Pacific Business News. We're here on Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, on Energy Wednesday. We'll take a short break. I'm here with Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host. I'm Jay Fidell. We'll be right back. Stay there. Wait.
Hi, how are you? You feeling good? Are you feeling lucky? ThinkTech Hawaii, it puts a bubble in my blender. If you don't feel good, that's your fault. Now that's live TV, folks.
Aloha, I'm Jay Fidell for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaiian Foreign Trade Zone, number 9, has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBED, the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program. It does so to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Jay Fidell of ThinkTech. Mahalo. Hi, I'm Jay Fidell. Yes, this is ThinkTech, broadcasting on Ustream and Spreaker both day and night, doing its thing on OC16 and Olelo, and uploading videos all over YouTube. Check us out and see the links on thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.
Aloha, I'm Sharon Moriwaki with the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. Please join Jay Fidell and me every Wednesday, 4 o'clock p.m. on Energy Wednesday. See you then.
Aloha, I'm Maria Kashem of ThinkTech Hawaii, and I want to tell you about our ThinkTech talk shows. If you didn't know it, ThinkTech streams video and audio for all of its shows live on the internet from 2 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon, and we replay them all night long on ustream.tv. Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links. Raise your awareness on ThinkTech. I'm Maria Kashem, and I'll see you there.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidell. Yes, this is ThinkTech, broadcasting on Ustream and Spreaker both day and night, doing its thing on OC16 and Olelo, and uploading videos all over YouTube. Check us out and see the links on thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.
Hi, thank you for tuning in. My name is Attila Saras, and I'm the host for ThinkTech Fridays. Join us online 24/7, 365 days a year. at ThinkTechHawaii.com.
Ah, we're back, we're live. We're Hawaii, the state of clean energy, on Energy Wednesday here at ThinkTech. We have Duane Shimogawa, Pacific Business News, and I'm sorry you guys haven't been party to the break discussion, because when we have these breaks, the conversation doesn't stop, you know. It gets much more excited.
Yeah. It's sometimes even better.
Don't say that.
It is. We had a great discussion on camera.
Okay, let's talk about AKP. The why, because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's Ainikoa Pono.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Duane?
You know, it was a shock at first. I remember, what was it? Because it has been a couple of years now where the PUC shot down their proposal or their contract with Hawaiian Electric. Their price a little bit too high. So they've at first they threatened to do business in the mainland, California. But as you said, Jay, that was kind of a stunt, you know, to get the attention.
Not likely, yeah.
Yeah, to get the attention of regulators and the utility. But they've gone back to the drawing board, and now they've looks like they've fixed the issue. They've come down a little bit. But another thing, you know, that's kind of holding that project up is there's a lot of community pushback. You know, and so what happens is now, you know, they're going through the whole, you know, community process with the public hearings, and so that's kind of that's why it's taken them so long to get their second proposal, you know, all nice and shiny. But what I hear is that the PUC will be ruling on you know, the contract very soon, if not, you know, at least by the end of this year. So it's good news.
Yeah, it is good
for
news.
the biofuels people.
Yeah.
You know, because that isn't, you know, that's a very key component as well. Everybody talks about the real sexy topics like solar and wind, but again, you have the biofuels, you have the waste to energy type of projects that are not as you know, glamorous per se.
Garbage is never glamorous.
But they do the job. They do the job. They help us.
Every little bit counts.
To get to.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I hope people understand that. We get an awful lot of news about solar. I mean, solar is like 97% of the news these days. And there's all these issues and arguments about everything about solar.
Yeah.
But the fact is that we have to get it from where we can get it. And some of them are cheaper, some are more expensive, but there's still a portfolio of, you know, diversified portfolio, and that's what saves you. So you're not subject to the risks of only one.
Right. So yeah, you have a variety where you know, if one, you know, for, like solar is intermittent, obviously, and then so is wind. You know, that's why people love geothermal, because it's constant, it's firm. That's why the second half of the cable project, which is years down the road, is connecting Maui to the Big Island to pump that geothermal energy all the way throughout you know, the main islands. So, you know, as you said, the variety of renewables is important. I mean, you have even wave energy where, you know, Cynthia Thielen is always talking about. You know,
She's still waiting.
She's still waiting after, you know, clearly, you know, a long time. But again, you know, we have to take a look at that. It's Hawaii. I mean, you know, and it's a proven technology. It's done elsewhere, and it's being, you know, tested by the Marines out there as well in Kaneohe.
But I want to talk about the biggest one of all. Biggest one of all.
Now you got my attention.
Yeah.
I hope it's good.
No, the thing about it is, you know, you talk 97%, we talk about solar, and we talk, you know, like 1% about transportation.
You're right.
Which is burning up all this fossil fuel all day long. You know, and I want you to know that Sharon has an electric vehicle, but she's the only person I know that has an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
You have an electric vehicle.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it was expensive, right? The upfront cost.
There's some in tax
but there's tax incentives. But does that really, you know, ease the burden? Did it?
Well, it's still expensive, but I mean, you are using, you're not using gas, you're not using oil, and that was the plus of it. Of course, you're using electricity, and hopefully, by the time you get into renewables and getting electricity from renewables, then you are really reducing the use of fossil fuels. So
I see a lot of people, they have, you know, the solar PV, and an electric vehicle, which to me it's the perfect storm. I mean, you know, you're using renewable, and then you have renewable fuel as well. You know, I mean, or I should say electric, where you're not using a fossil fuel. So
it's all renewable.
Yeah.
cycles in.
Yeah, the thing is, you could really go off grid completely.
You could.
Drive your car and everything
And then
you
the car
need.
is a storage unit, off when the sun is down, you can actually store it in the car.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Well, the problem for now, though, is that people are on the grid, and they're using fossil fuel
Right.
cars, and they're using. Just take a drive out on any road, you'll see these $70,000 tinted window SUVs
And SUVs
that
are
are
still
costing a
out there.
fortune in
Yeah,
every way, and they just came off the showroom. I mean, people
Yeah.
are buying them right now, oblivious to this issue, and they're committing themselves for like 10 years of driving that car around. So it kicks the can down the road, is
Right,
what
right.
it does. So you don't have any solution. I mean, it pushes the solution away.
So Duane, have you been checking out the transportation arena? Because transportation uses about a third of our fossil fuel consumption is from transportation, and that's an area that's been neglected. Have you found any way to crack that
We'd
nut?
like to know.
We'd like to know.
Well, as you know, the city and county of Honolulu, they struck a deal with Pacific Biodiesel, so they're going to be using some biodiesel in
the
most
buses.
City,
some of their
vehicles,
fleet. Yeah. But I think the problem is, there's Pacific Biodiesel, and then there's really nothing else out there. So I think you need more companies like Pacific Biodiesel. We need the biofuels companies to come in, like AKP, to produce transportation fuels. But in the end, you need the buy-in from the consumer, to purchase an electric vehicle,
Catch the bus.
or catch the bus.
Take a bike, don't forget.
Yeah,
the
or
bike.
not buy
Ride the
that $50,000 SUV, the gas guzzler. But it's a tough sell. It's not something that you'll see immediately, and it's not something that people really are interested in talking about. And that's
True.
that's
They're
the
married
real,
to their cars.
They can't get
Yeah.
out of their cars.
Yeah, and I think I mean even for me, I mean
You drive an SUV?
No. I drive a small Chevy Aveo that's very efficient,
Okay.
great with parking as well into tight corners. But I live fairly close to downtown Honolulu, and there's a bus stop right across my condo.
So that's great.
So it's,
You don't use
You have
it.
options.
but I don't use it. Yeah. So I mean, it's just it's getting
Changing behavior.
It's changing the
right?
behavior, I
People's
think.
Attitudes.
And I think this, I think the state is coming around, and then they're trying. I know that, in his latest push, Energy Administrator Mark Glick has been trying to push the transportation, side of, of the arena, because it's something that, it takes a big portion of the renewable pie, the efficiency pie. And so we need to address that finally. And I do hear you, yeah, Sharon, for sure.
Yeah.
It's an issue that I've covered, but not so much because all of these things are happening simultaneously, and because there's so much. I mean, it's
True.
easy to leave things
It's
to the side.
it's all through our
Especially-
lives. It's blended all through our lives.
So.
So that's why I wanted to ask you, looking forward, from PBN's point
Yeah.
of view, how important is this beat? Is this beat going to be
Oh.
more, less, or the same going forward?
It's truly a very important beat. I think I've been at PBN for about 2 years. Been covering energy for about a year and a half. I had a different beat before energy, but energy has pretty much been a major beat, especially here in Hawaii, because we have the highest electricity prices. And we do have, abundant resources, renewable resources, and not to mention, we're basically relying on everything being shipped in, so that's, another issue. So I think, at PBN it'll continue to be, a main topic to be covered, because it's very crucial to especially the business community. I mean,
Absolutely.
Our stakeholders, our developers. I mean, they're dependent on what's happening in the energy community. They want to hear from the Mark Glicks and the Peter Roseggs and you know, and what's going on, and making sure that you know, they're getting in on the action, because you know, everything is moving so quickly. And it's getting very competitive out there. I mean, you look at the solar industry as an example. So I think you know, I try and cover it as ferociously as possible.
I like that, ferocious.
You know, and you know, I plan to continue that. And
well, we want you to continue it because you know, you have to have institutional memory.
Yeah.
You can't really evaluate all these changes, very complex, without having an understanding of what happened before. That's Duane Shimogawa, Pacific Business News, and remember, its middle name is business. Sharon, Moriwaki, and me doing Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We'll be back next week with more energy. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Sharon.